Hi, my name is Reed Fish. I'm the CEO and a co-founder of Upmarket Media, a real estate media company based in Southern California. I'm also the co-host of Upmarket, a podcast about our industry. I'd like to welcome you to this webinar where today I'm going to talk about why you may want to consider scaling your real estate photography or media business and lay out some of the decision points and practical considerations that you will need to keep in mind if you decide to embark on the scaling journey. Changing and scaling my business has brought so many positive life changes and rewards, and I'm excited to share some of what I've learned with you today. So let's get started. Okay, so look, as you probably know, once you get into the real estate photography industry, it seems like from the very first day forward, there will never be another day again where you don't have to field an email, call, or text from a realtor, including weekends, holidays, and especially when we're trying to have vacations, right? We're all just putting out fires right and left constantly. That river of realtor panic just never ends. Realtors are a funny bunch, aren't they? I feel like they're trying to sell some sort of illusion of a perfect life to their clients. The subtext is that if you buy this beautiful house with these gorgeous, idealized photos, maybe you can achieve a better life, maybe a perfect life even. And all of us real estate media professionals, we do everything we can to help them sell that better life. And to do that, we sometimes ruin our own lives. We're the ones out there at dusk, missing dinner with our loved ones, taking pictures of ho-hum sunsets at basic tract houses. Then we come home at 9 p.m., scarf down a cold dinner, and then sit down to edit and do invoicing and answer emails and post to social media, schedule shoots, pay bills, and update our websites, write our newsletters, change the batteries for tomorrow, clean gear, log receipts, reinstall Lightroom because the newest Adobe update crashed our computer, and then we finish it off at 2 a.m. by doing damn sky replacements on those twilights to turn that dreck into the dream. And what thanks do we get for this? We get the agent texting us at 7 a.m. the next morning, wondering when their photos will be ready, and oh, by the way, can I get a discount on this one? I would hazard a guess that if you have even a modestly successful real estate photography business, which if you're watching this, you probably do, you can relate to at least some of that. So that's what we're up against, right? You start your business, and for the overwhelming majority of us, we started alone. Maybe you know how to do some photography, maybe you take some YouTube tutorials or a course. Maybe your cousin is a realtor, so you have a client and you can start a business. And then it grows, and it's fine. You can handle 5 shoots a week, no problem. And hell, the money's not too bad, right? So it's all good. And after a while, those 5 shoots a week turn to 10 shoots a week. And 10 turns to 20. And 20 turns to, God damn it, kill me now. And that volume of work, it strains our physical health, our mental health, and our relationships. Take it from me, because I have been there. Oh, have I been there. I started my journey as a real estate photographer about 10 years ago. It was just something I could do on the side to make some cash while I waited for my next screenplay to sell. I'm still waiting for that, by the way, but that's okay. I was able to get some shoots and then I got some more. Turns out I was kind of good at it and I'm a decently personable and I can schmooze, so my business grew. And for all intents and purposes, I was a solo shooter, but I did have help along the way. My wife, Liz, was a co-owner of the business and was especially crucial when we added video to our repertoire. She handled the editing and post-production while also shepherding in a more general video production side to our company. Eventually, the real estate side, though, it grew and grew to a point where it wasn't sustainable. My work-life balance was totally out of whack. And even worse, because I didn't really know how to run a business, I wasn't even making that much money. All this time spent on work, shortchanging my family and my health, shedding blood, sweat, and many tears, enduring all this pain. And I had nothing to show for it, other than a client list, a basic income, and a damaged marriage. And then about 6 years ago, the Thomas fire arrived at our doorstep. It was at the time the largest wildfire in California history. Hundreds of homes in our service area were destroyed, and had the winds not suddenly died down the second night of the fire, our small town of Ojai could have been completely lost. Even so, we were evacuated from our home for a month. We didn't know if we were even going to have a business to come back to. It was an inflection point, to be sure. Already, our business was successful, but somehow it wasn't working for us. We wondered if the business even had a path to just be solvent. Not only was the business side floundering, but personally I was a mess as well. I think I've struggled for years deriving meaning from my work in this industry. I've never really felt a sense of artistic fulfillment. For me, it's always been about commerce. I don't particularly care about real estate or even photographic process. And so it's always been kind of just a means to an end. I was simply leveraging skills I had in order to make money. That's it. I just wanted to make money. And for me, that was not a great way to live. Especially when all you do is work on this thing that you don't even like that much just to make money, and then you don't even make that much money. It sucks. But still, I was resistant to change. Why? I'm still not really sure. It was probably some combination of fear, laziness, imposter syndrome, and ignorance. But finally, after the fire, I was basically given an ultimatum by my family. Whatever it was that we had been doing could not continue. It had to change. But I didn't know what to do. I was paralyzed. So my wife took matters into her own hands and enrolled herself in an intensive business course run by a local nonprofit that supports mainly women-owned small businesses to learn about what changes we could make to our company. It was also through that nonprofit that we started working with our business advisor. I slowly became less resistant to change and developed a new mindset. All those things together set us down a new path that I will detail today in this webinar. My story is of course unique to me, but I imagine certain things about it will feel familiar for many of you. If you are at all successful in this business as a solo shooter, you will at some point get to a place where there is too much work and not enough time. It will happen and is probably happening right now for many of you. So you reach that point, and then what can you do? Well, the way I see it is you have three main options. 1, do nothing. Do not change. Run yourself into the ground. This was my personal favorite for years. Don't do this, it's terrible. 2, raise your prices. Drastically raise your prices. This option is interesting and I think is actually viable because it could potentially restore some work-life balance for yourself. Look, if you double your prices and lose half your customers, congratulations, that is a huge win. You will make the same exact money and work half as much. And that would winnow your client base to just top producers who aren't price sensitive, which to me are the ideal clients. It would also most likely position you as a luxury specialist, where you can do fewer shoots but are of higher value. Another way you can stealth do this as a real estate photographer is to cultivate a broader client base, builder and design clients, commercial and retail. What I like about that path is that you're really doing the same or similar workflows but can charge 3 to 5 times your real estate rate. Personally, I find those shoots to be stressful and a pain in the ass, so probably they're not for me. The other big issue to me with going this route is that you're still alone. Everything rests on you. What if you get injured? What if you suddenly can't shoot anymore? What are you gonna do then? So I found myself much more interested in option 3, which is scale. Now we're talking. Scaling a business is defined as setting the stage to enable and support growth in your company, having the ability to grow without being hampered. The decision to scale, though, should not be taken lightly. It is a hard journey. Nothing about it is easy, and it's not right for everyone. However, I believe it is at least worth exploring by everyone. So let's go ahead and do that. If you want to scale your real estate media business, you will need to answer one ultimate question first. The answer to this question will guide you every single day on your journey. You want to scale your business, and the question is, why? Yeah, the big why. Why are you doing this? The answer can be simple or complicated, but there has to be an answer. And it's personal. The answer will be different for each individual. Answers can be broad or specific and varied. It can be things like, I don't want to work weekends, or I want to be seen by my peers as an industry leader, or I want to be able to sell my company when I retire, or even just, I want to be able to take an actual vacation, or a million other things. There is one answer, though, that I would caution against, and it's maybe the easiest and kind of obvious answer, and I think a lot of people might say, I want to make more money. Well, don't we all? But I think coming at scaling from that angle is not a recipe for success either. If money alone dictates every single decision, I think you will lose sight of the bigger picture. To me, making more money by scaling your business can happen, hopefully, but it's probably more of a byproduct of scale rather than the end goal. That's not to say that your big why cannot be financially driven. It's perfectly appropriate, but I think a more holistic why will probably serve you better. Something like, I want financial security for my family, is something that is not only potentially a little more motivating, but is maybe a clearer guide to the decisions that you'll make. And I say this from experience. In the old days, when my big why for having the business, and I never really thought about it in those terms, but it was, I want to make money. And that mindset only worked to a point. And I think that's also the reason I was so unhappy. The big why in my head that I used as a framework to base all the decisions on for my business was not aligned with what my actual needs and wants were. So when we decided to scale, I sat down and I asked myself that question again, why? Why do you want to scale your business? Why? My answer to the question was, and still is, I want a better life. And now I have one. And here's how we did it. But first remember though, there is no one way to scale a business. All our journeys are unique. For our company, Two Fish Digital, we started scaling almost 4 years ago when we brought on a second shooter who could also shoot and edit video. That made things better, but I was looking for a way to accelerate the process. So 2 years ago, I approached our biggest competitor in our market, a guy named Mark Corcoran, a solo shooter whose company was Upmarket Photo. I had the idea to merge our businesses together. To Mark's credit, he very quickly jumped on board with my potentially brash and not entirely thought out idea. My core pitch to him was actually pretty basic. I thought if we could combine our clients and revenue, not only could we have a stronger platform for growth, more importantly, we could easily afford to hire a full-time admin, which would make our lives better. And so we merged. And then literally the first thing we did was to bring Chelsea, our admin, onto our team. And whoo boy, if you listen to our Upmarket podcast, you know Chelsea, maybe the greatest human being of all time. And that said, whether it's Chelsea or someone else, to me, having admin help is the single most important thing you can do if you want to scale your business. Because an admin ends up giving you time to work on your business rather than working for your business. So how does that work? What can an admin do for you? A lot. Right now, your screen is filling up with all the tasks that an admin might be able to do for you. Yeah, it's a lot. And a little behind the scenes factoid for you to drive this point home. Chelsea made this slideshow thing for me. I mean, I barely even know the name of the program she made it in. A keynote. I don't know. Chelsea, thank you. But here's the trick though. For any of this to work, from having an admin to any number of other practical considerations in scaling that I'll get to in a moment, you probably will have to shift your mindset in multiple ways. And here are 3 mindset shifts that I made that all kind of work together. The first and probably most important one is that I let go. So even just delegating tasks is a big part of letting go. As entrepreneurs, as photographers, I think we tend to hold on tight, wanting to make sure that all the little details are taken care of in the exact way that we think they should be taken care of. And we think that we, and only we, are the ones that need to do those things because we're the only ones who know how. Even if you think you can't let go, I assure you that you can. You actually do it all the time. Think about photo editing. As you know, you can do endless editing on any one photo, tweaking it until it's just right, and then tweaking it some more. But at a certain point, you have to let go and say it's good enough and send it to your client. And here's the first benefit of that. The second you let go and delegate stuff to, say, your admin, you may find that they actually do some of this stuff even better than you were doing it. Imagine that. Some stuff they won't do as well, but that's okay because you've let go. Now, that doesn't mean you have to lower your standards. It just means that you don't reflexively take back some tasks just because they aren't being done in exactly the way you would. Instead, create an atmosphere of collaboration and have a framework for your employees to improve performance. Allow them to ask for help when needed. In fact, that was another of my mindset shifts. I allowed myself to ask for help. Delegating is actually kind of a form of asking for help, but you will need to go wider and bigger. You need to always remember and have in your mind that you don't know everything, because you don't. I sure don't. None of us do. So find a mentor, find a business coach, find a mastermind group. Asking people in these types of positions for help and advice will transform your business and accelerate your growth. Letting go and asking for help will automatically bring more people into your orbit, which will help put you in the mindset to build community. Your community will be comprised of your staff, your mentors, and in a slightly different way, your clients. But there is another big aspect to your community, and that's your fellow real estate media professionals. There are numerous ways to network with our community of real estate photographers and videographers. Follow your peers on Instagram and TikTok. Join some of the Facebook groups devoted to our industry. While occasionally toxic, they are mostly a great place to get advice and share stories about our day-to-day work lives. Consider attending PMRE, the Photography and Media for Real Estate Conference in Las Vegas every November. Attending that conference has profoundly changed the business of Upmarket Media, and we highly recommend it. Make those connections and keep them strong. You want to do that because the life of a solo real estate photographer can be extremely lonely. To me, the best thing about scaling is that now, because I've shifted my mindset, I don't feel as alone anymore, not even close. Okay, so you've got your mindset all figured out. So that's great. But what about the practical side of business? There are so many practical things to consider when starting to scale. I've chosen what I think are 10 key practical elements to scaling your business that I want to drill down on a little bit today. 1, financials. You've got to get those tight. Your books need to be in order. If they're not, there is no way to even know if you can scale. At a minimum, you want to look at your books for the last 6 months and then project your cash flow and your volume for the next 6 months. Then you can start to piece together the answer to the question of, can you scale your business? It is tricky to be sure because you are no doubt threading the needle here. You want to increase capacity, but you also don't want to build out the capacity and not have the volume to support the infrastructure of that capacity. If you are not a numbers person, and I'm not, you will want help in analyzing these numbers. A bookkeeper and a business coach can help immensely with these tasks. On the flip side, you also need to think about what would happen if my business doubles this year. Because if you're not prepared for that, and I know this sounds crazy, but it can wipe you out. Your business will be an overworked bed of chaos that cannot keep up. Get your financials in order, please. Goals. You want to know what you're working towards. I think you want both short and long-term goals. This is sort of in the same vein as your big why, but this is where you can really get specific about volume and financial targets. Things like, we want to increase sales 50% year over year. We want video to be at least 30% of our revenue. I want gross sales of over $1 million. You get the idea. Definitely track your progress on those goals. Revisit and adjust your goals regularly. This will really help keep you focused and allow you to see patterns and trends earlier than you might otherwise. 3, communication. The bedrock of any good relationship. You have your internal communication and your external. For most internal stuff, we use Slack. We got Slack when we first merged, and my God, no exaggeration, I don't know how we could operate our business efficiently without it. It's so crucial to keep our team on the same page about everything. Even when they're out in the field, Slack has a great mobile app, so you're covered there too. We have channels for so many different aspects of our workflows, for editing, for invoicing, for scheduling. And the great thing is you can control what channel team members can see, so not all information is sitting there for anyone to see. You have ultimate control on who sees what. We even run our chat function on our website through Slack. There's so much you can do with it, and I feel like Upmarket Media is just scratching the surface of its power, and it's still amazing. And we're using just the free version, which is plenty robust. So there's no reason to not try it if you have even just 2 people on your team. The other big piece is your external communication. You're going to want to have protocols for all the ways that clients can contact you. You have to think about your social media DMs, chat and inquiry forms on your website, your email, and of course your phone. To me, that's the biggest quality of life one, so I want to touch on that a little bit more. Calls and texts to our personal phones were one of the biggest pain points for both Mark and I before we scaled. So since we don't have a physical office, we decided to move to an app-based phone system. We use OpenPhone, it's great, but there are a ton of options in this space, so just find the one that's right for you. So now we have a single main phone line. Chelsea, Mark, and I all have the app on our phones and computers, and any of us can answer calls or texts to that line. And as far as texts go, our clients have no idea who is texting them back. It just comes from Upmarket Media. That also means that all of us can see all the texts and voicemails that have come in. So Mark and I can monitor everything, but don't have to be involved unless we want to. And best of all, any one of us can turn the app off whenever we want. Which brings me to boundaries. Set boundaries and stick to them. Phone is such a big one, and that's why the app is so nice, because it allows us to, for example, get this, actually go on vacation. In 30 seconds, I can turn off notifications for open phone and Slack, instant vacation mode. No realtor can bother me. And I know Mark and the rest of our team have it handled while I'm off. I've done this for 2 weeks at a time. And so has Mark. We have had literal, actual vacations. I know. It's amazing. And keeping phone and Slack boundaries are important too in relation to your employees. They should not be monitoring open phone and Slack when they're not on the clock. Remember, their work-life balance is just as important as yours. It's also, of course, probably most important to set boundaries for your clients as well. Yours may be different, but for us, some of the boundaries that we've set are that we don't shoot on weekends, or offer same-day turnaround, or text back after 8 p.m. We have an auto text that goes out that says we will respond first thing in the morning during business hours. Open phone for the win again. We have found it to be so worthwhile to set the boundaries. And it can be hard because I know for years I had the mindset that if I didn't say, respond to a text that I got at 10 p.m. on a Sunday night, that, oh my God, that client will stop using me and word will spread and I'll never get another shoot ever again from anyone. Well, in reality, whenever we have set reasonable boundaries and push back on our demanding clients, we've found that realtors will ultimately respect us more. And really, any client that doesn't respect my boundaries, I don't want as a client anyway. I'll talk about marketing a little bit more later, but you should have a mindset with your marketing that you are going to replace all your clients every 18 months. So if that's how you're viewing your business, who cares if you lose the client that always texts you at 11 p.m. on Sunday night? Honestly, good riddance. 5, outsourcing. Outsource whatever you can. Editing is of course the big one and probably the first one that most of us will undertake. The trick is finding the editing solution that will work for your business. There are a few bigger US-based companies that offer editing packages with their overseas teams doing the bulk of editing, but keeping the customer service US-based. And there are, of course, all the independent overseas editors that flood our inboxes every day. It will take some trial and error, but I'm confident you can find something that will work for you at a palatable price. One of the big benefits to outsourcing to Asia-based editors is the time difference. In North America, we send the raw photos out at the end of our day, which is the morning in Asia. They can work their full day, edit the photos, and have them in your inbox during your next business day. That workflow has been a game changer for our business, and as our industry moves more and more to overseas editing, it is becoming the expected delivery standard among our general client base. A couple of other things that you may want to consider outsourcing are your bookkeeping and your social media. We talked about it in financials, but bookkeeping is so essential to your business, and unless you get off on that stuff, it's probably better to leave it to the professionals. We have outsourced our bookkeeping for years, and it's one of the best decisions we've made. It can be pricey, but it's one of the things that has freed up our time to focus on other parts of our business. Social media is tough, right? You want it to be personal to your business, but that doesn't mean you can't outsource posting to someone else. Also, having a dedicated social media manager means that you have someone who is an expert on this stuff, someone who's going to stay on top of trends and noting when algorithms change so that you can always be positioned to pivot in your social media approach as needed. Setting up these systems can seem labor-intensive and expensive in the beginning, but I think that you want to start where you want to end up. Meaning that if you can set up systems in the beginning that can scale and grow with your business, then you are going to save yourself major headaches down the road that will be even more expensive and time-consuming to solve. 6, systems. Which brings us to systems. It should be a given that you're using something like Aereo or HD Photo Hub to manage at least some of your back-end systems. They are mostly all-in-one solutions, but whether you use them or not, you will need to think about the following systems at a minimum: scheduling, invoicing, marketing asset delivery, property website construction, payroll, accounting, bookkeeping, email, client database, mailing list, CRM, and the list goes on. And when you're developing those systems, the more places you can find to automate, the better. You want things to be as efficient as possible. I'm not advocating that your business should be run like an Amazon fulfillment center. Let's actually construct our businesses with a measure of humanity. But still, I think we can be efficient. I do want to highlight in particular one major system that I think you can and should find as much efficiency as you can in. And that's the systems for your actual shoots. First, you want to make sure that your realtors are trained in how to have a property prep for shoots. That means the place should be clean, hopefully staged, and with no handymen, gardeners, sewer lateral workers, or other realtors doing showings present at all. And no homeowners. Ban those assholes. A homeowner present for the shoot will, at a minimum, waste 10 to 30 minutes of you or your team's time every single time. I don't care how nice they are. In fact, the nice ones are actually the worst. Just so much talking. Multiply all that wasted time by the hundreds of shoots you're doing every year, and it's a huge productivity loss. Okay, all that's taken care of. So now the house is tight, no one is there, and you can shoot. How can you shoot it efficiently? You shoot it HDR. How do you make your shooting process replicable and easily trainable for new shooters? You shoot HDR, that's how. We made the switch to HDR after the PMRE conference last year when we saw the results that some of our peers were getting with straight HDR photography. I know that many of you are probably thinking, no way, not doing HDR, how embarrassing. My clients would never stand for this. Well, when we made the switch, we didn't announce it, and I swear, not one single client noticed. Not a realtor, not a builder, not even a designer. No one even noticed at the actual shoots that there was no lighting being used anymore. Keep in mind, most people click through real estate photos at a rate of like 1 every half second or so, which is about this fast. Your average viewer can't tell which is HDR and which isn't. Hell, I can't tell, and I bet you can't either. About half of those photos you just saw were HDR and half weren't. The simple truth is nobody cares. The quality just has to be good enough for real estate. Don't get me wrong, I am not saying that you can deliver bad photos. I will state clearly that your photos need to be good, probably great. And you should make sure you know the ins and outs of how to produce great photos in production and post-production alike. But at scale, it is virtually impossible to put a ton of time and attention into each and every photo. That's just the reality. Look, if I put my mind and time to it, I can produce a pretty great real estate photo. But the moment I let go and I realize that good enough is good enough, that my photos could be at the 85 to 90% level, and that I didn't have to break my back for the diminishing returns of crafting a virtually 100% perfect photo, that's when I started to restore my work-life balance and my business really took off. Marketing. However you are marketing now, just know that you will need to market more. A growing business needs to have marketing at the forefront of their growth strategy. And you know, like for instance, our industry is somewhat seasonal. But if you wait until the slow season and then panic and try to start amping up your marketing, well, it's already too late. Marketing needs repetition and lead time. You can't expect to do a social media post or go to a realtor networking event and then immediately book 5 shoots for next week. It just almost never works like that. You need to be marketing all year and broadening your client base so that even in slower times, you can still count on at least some volume. There are countless ways to market. For us, we found that marketing where you get face-to-face with your potential clients has the highest success rate. So, networking events, presentations and/or lunch and learns at brokerages, headshot events and caravans, these are all great ways to get in front of clients. As you're starting to scale, you're probably going to have to do these yourself. And you'll probably find that as you free yourself up from other tasks in your business, that you'll have more time and energy to do those types of things. I contrast that with when I was a solo shooter. I couldn't go to a lot of the networking stuff. I was out shooting twilights. So Mark and I have been out a lot more doing networking, and it's paid off. Though we are getting to the point where we're wondering if hiring a local salesperson could be worth it. Someone who could go to every event, go to every caravan, just be representing Upmarket Media wherever realtors are at. We just have to figure out how to pay for it. Oh, I have an idea. Raise prices. Pricing. Just because we scale does not mean we should race to the bottom in pricing. Actually, I think that as you scale, you will end up bringing more value to your clients. It will be easier for them to schedule last minute, a realtor favorite, because you have capacity. Your admin will be able to promptly book those shoots and then help them with any other issue they have. And you will be able to offer a more comprehensive suite of products that are delivered quickly. You will be easing a tremendous amount of realtor pain points, and they should and will be willing to pay for that. Be confident that people will see your value. If a client won't meet your price, then they probably aren't a client that you ultimately want anyway. That said, you obviously have to know your market, where you fit into your market, and have a strategy about how your pricing fits within it. You'll always eventually be able to figure out if your prices are too low or too high, and you can adjust accordingly. You also want to standardize your pricing and make sure that it is easily understandable by your clients. And they're realtors, which means keep it simple. We have found that pricing photos by square footage is easier than a per image price. If you want to hear more about that scintillating debate, you can check out our pricing episode of our Upmarket podcast. We've also had a pretty good success with packages, giving a slightly better price for someone ordering at least 3 services at a property. Also, we don't love non-package discounting, but offering first-time clients discounts/incentives is definitely something to consider, though you want to be careful setting expectations. One more note on packages and services. It actually just dawned on me a couple days ago that because this is such a given to me, that I didn't put a section in this presentation about what services to offer. But look, I think you gotta offer photos, twilights, video, aerial photo and video, a 3D option, floor plans, and property websites at the minimum. I just don't see how you're going to be competitive if you don't. 9, clients. Our clients are realtors, and they are a tough crowd to be sure. I've heard time and time again from real estate media professionals around the world that working with realtors is the hardest part of our job. Even realtors will admit that on the whole, they are an insane bunch. But here's the thing that I want you to remember. The only thing worse than having realtors as your clients is having homeowners as your clients. This is where, all joking about realtors aside, you do want to have empathy towards them. So much of the anxiety and unpredictability coming from realtors is actually anxiety and unpredictability from homeowners being filtered through the realtor. Realtors are in a competitive, nonstop, and stressful industry. The more we remember and can be supportive and understanding about the issues they face, the more those realtors will come back to us as clients because we help them alleviate pain points and help them feel better. One more thing on empathy, and I'm sorry to say this because, as you can tell already, I very passionately hate homeowners, but that empathy for realtors should extend to homeowners too. Selling your home is one of the most stressful times in a person's life, so we really should cut them some slack, I guess. Okay, enough with the empathy for now. When we're thinking about our clients, our goal should be to build a lasting and mutually beneficial relationship with them. When I talk to realtors, I often talk about forming a sort of partnership with them. I will tell them that, look, I truly, honestly do not want to sell you a video. I want to sell you 100 videos. How can we partner together to build your business so that you can get 100 listings in the next 3 years and we can do a video on every single one? And look, here's another thing. All of us here watching this and me, we all need to remember that we do not market real estate. We market realtors. When we shoot a listing, I gotta say, I don't really give a shit if the listing sells for whatever price, or how many days it spends on market, or really, if it even sells at all. Who cares? To me, the only metric to measure our success is if that realtor that hired us gets another listing. Let's all be honest. The only way we make more money from a client is if they get another listing. Everything else is irrelevant. Every listing will eventually sell every time if priced right, whether it has professional photos, video, or not. But not every realtor will get another listing. Our job is to make sure they do. 10, employees. Our last one and the most important. As you scale, you will need to bring people in to work with and for you. They will either be independent contractors or employees. We made the decision to have employees. In California, it seems pretty clear. If someone is helping you produce the core function of your business, they need to be employees. Now, that may differ in other states or countries. You will need to research to see what makes sense for your business and what complies with local laws and regulations. And that extends to making sure your hiring process has integrity and is equitable. From taxes to benefits to breaks, lunches, and time off, to insurance and compensation and employment terms, you will need to make sure that you are doing things on the up and up, to the letter of the law, or you will leave yourself open to much liability. As you may already be able to tell, having employees is a pain in the ass, majorly. But it's well worth it. Your employees are the backbone and lifeblood of your business. They are what makes scaling your business possible. For Mark and I, having a team, while certainly a pain, is one of the great joys that scaling our business has afforded us. Having employees frees you and gives you the power to do the things that you actually want to do in your business. But my friends, with this great power comes great responsibility. You will want to be a good boss. Treat your employees how you would like to be treated. Pay them as much as you can. Let them know how much you value what they do. Don't micromanage them. Give them a framework, but empower them to do what they think is right. Have empathy for them. Make sure they have a safe work environment. If you think about these things, if you put yourself in your employees' shoes, you are much more likely to be able to meet their needs, more likely to retain them, and more likely to be able to give them a path to a sustainable career with an enviable work-life balance. You can give your employees a better life. One of the most rewarding things I found about being a boss is watching our employees grow, watching them acquire skills that will serve them in the future, whether they work for us or not. I really want to stress this. Do not take employing other human beings lightly. Your employees or contractors are giving you the most valuable thing they have in the world, their time. They are giving you their precious time on earth. And sure, you are giving them money, but it can never be enough. We can never pay anyone, ourselves included, what they are truly worth. Ultimately, though, our businesses can only pay what it can pay. But we're always trying to figure out how to do more. Even just the little things. We subsidize phones and home internet. We pay mileage, have staff parties. Those kinds of things really do make a difference in making your employees feel respected and appreciated. We try to say thank you every day. Because above all else, we are grateful. We constantly ask ourselves at the end of each day, how do our employees feel about working with us? And let's bring that same question back to our group in the last section, our clients. So the question becomes, how do your clients and your employees feel after working with you? The answer to that question is the single biggest factor that will determine how far your business can grow. And so look, I can sit here today and tell you that because we have scaled our business, my life is better. And it is better because I have let go, I have asked for help, and I have let other people in. Now, the business is not resting on my shoulders alone. The burden is spread among myself and my partner and our employees. But so are the rewards. And because the stress on any one of us is much less, all of us have more capacity to not let the stress overwhelm us, to be able to have a life outside of work where you're not checking your phone every 5 minutes, where you're not thinking about realtors and twilights and the MLS and whatever else. And that's a great place to be. But again, I'm not saying that it's been easy to get here. Running a business, whether you're scaling or not, is hard work. But at the end of each day, I don't feel exhausted and stressed, burned out and bitter. I feel energized, and I look forward to what tomorrow will bring. I feel good. I have a purpose. I want to end this today with an ask. And it is this. If you decide to go on the scaling journey with your business, however you decide to go about it, you will need to bring people in. And all I ask is that you try to treat them with thoughtfulness, a spirit of collaboration, and with the attitudes of grace and gratitude. Mark and I try to do that every single day. And I tell you, we fail a lot. But the fact that we do our best to make lives better, to make the lives of not only our clients better, but the lives of our employees better, the lives of our families and our community better, means that no matter what, no matter how many houses we shoot or don't shoot, or how much more money we do or don't make, our business is still a success. Because the more you lift up others, the higher you, your business, and all of us can rise. Together, we can each have a better life. Okay, that was a lot. But you know, all that's the proverbial tip of the iceberg, right? The things that you need to think about and plan for as you scale are innumerable. So much more than can be fit into any one webinar. As we have been scaling, the one thing that Mark and I have wished we had from day one was a blueprint of all the stuff we needed to think about. I mean, it's hard making this shit up as you go. So that's why we've created one. Our course on how to grow and scale your real estate media business is now live. And look, Mark and I alone do not have all the answers. So that's why we've brought in experts in the fields of business, real estate, law, marketing, social media, and bookkeeping to give us their specialized knowledge, while Mark and I distill their knowledge into actionable ideas that any real estate media professional can use to grow and scale their business. We believe this course illuminates decision points and offers paths for efficiently scaling your business. You can learn more about it and preview some modules at upmarketcourse.com. And as a thank you for watching this webinar, for a limited time, use the code on screen to unlock 35% off the regular course price. Thanks again, and best of luck to you however you decide to scale your business.